The fires of Varus Prime burned low, but the city was alive. Smoke curled through shattered buildings, and the hum of alien machines that survived the pulse filled the night air. Humanity had survived. Humanity had fought. But the war was far from over. Captain Elias Ward stood on a rooftop surveying the city. The northern districts were secure for now, and civilians were being guided to hidden tunnels and safe zones. Yet his eyes were fixed on the sky. The Dominion flagship still orbited the planet, massive and imposing, its metallic surface reflecting the faint red glow of the burning ruins. Lieutenant Commander Aria Holt joined him, her hands resting on a crate of ammunition and supplies. "They're regrouping," she said. "The flagship isn't just a command center, it's their heart. If we can hit it, we can cripple the entire Dominion operation here." Ward's jaw tightened. "Then that's our next step. The strike has to be precise. One shot, one plan. No mistakes," Holt nodded. "We've come too far to wait. The humans on this planet have shown what we're capable of. Now we prove it to the galaxy." The plan was risky, even for humans. Using the last of their functional ships and scavenged Dominion tech, Ward and Holt's teams would infiltrate the orbital space above Varus Prime. Their target, the flagship itself. They had no chance in a direct fight. Instead, they relied on speed, ingenuity, and surprise. Inside a hidden hangar, Ward addressed the assembled team. Civilians who had fought alongside soldiers, engineers who had improvised weapons, even a few miners now trained to pilot small craft. All of them were ready. Ward's voice was calm, but firm. "The Dominion thinks they've won. They think we're broken. But they are wrong. Each of you is a part of this strike because you are brave, because you are clever, because you refuse to give up. Remember this, humans do not surrender. Not here, not now, not ever." A cheer rose from the group. They were few. They were exhausted, but they were alive. They were determined. Holt gestured toward the small fleet. "Our ships are fast, our weapons are limited, but our minds are unlimited. We strike together. Timing is everything." The small human fleet launched into the sky just as the first light of dawn touched Varus Prime. The Dominion orbital defenses were on alert, but they were disorganized after the previous attacks. Humans had studied their patterns. Every drone, every turret, every sensor had been analyzed. Holt piloted her small ship at the front, carrying Ward and a small team. "Keep close," she instructed. "We move as one, hit as one, retreat as one." The orbital defenses detected them too late. Their sensors flickered from the earlier human pulse, giving the infiltrators a small advantage. The human ships weaved through debris and patrol drones, moving like shadows in a storm of fire. Inside the flagship, Kareth was furious. "How is this possible? Humans, they should be broken." Varric, his lieutenant, hesitated. "Hi, Marshal. They are organized. They are clever. Perhaps they are unstoppable." Kareth's eyes glowed brighter. "Unstoppable? We shall see. Deploy interceptors." "Stop them!" The interceptors surged toward the human ships, their energy engines blazing. But the humans were already in motion. Ward's team had rigged small missiles and electromagnetic pulses to disable the fleet's smaller defenses. Every strike was precise, every move calculated. One by one, Dominion interceptors were disabled or forced away. The flagship loomed larger, massive, and seemingly invincible. But humans had never been about brute force. They were about adaptation, ingenuity, and courage. Ward's team approached the flagship's hull. Using magnetic grappling hooks and stealth thrusters, they latched onto the ship, moving along the surface like shadows. Alarms blared inside the Dominion vessel, and alien soldiers scrambled to intercept. Holt guided the team through maintenance shafts and external panels. "Stay low, stay fast. Timing is everything," she whispered. Inside, Dominion soldiers tried to locate the intruders, but the humans moved unpredictably. Ward led his squad to the core of the ship, where the command systems pulsed with blue light. This was the heart of the Dominion operation above Varus Prime. Holt set up the portable Ares system once again, connecting it carefully to the ship's energy conduits. Sparks flew and the device hummed. "Once we activate this," Holt said, "the flagship's systems will collapse for exactly 3 minutes. Long enough to escape and strike from orbit. After that, it will take them hours to recover." Ward nodded. "Do it!" The pulse went out, traveling along the flagship's conduits. Alarms stopped. Lights flickered. Dominion soldiers froze in confusion. Systems failed. Every weapon, every shield, every turret went dark. Ward and Holt moved quickly, planting additional charges along critical nodes. Explosions rocked the ship, sending shrapnel and sparks through maintenance corridors. Dominion officers scrambled to respond, but every attempt to restore order was met with human precision. The humans fought alongside each other, covering every angle. Miners turned fighters used grappling hooks and metal rods. Engineers used stolen tech to override controls. Every human was a part of the plan. Every human was essential. From the surface of Varus Prime, civilians watched the sky. Small human ships appeared like meteors against the dark orbit. The Dominion flagship quivered under the coordinated strike. Sparks rained from the hull. And for the first time, humans across the city realized something powerful. They could defeat the invaders. Ward's voice came over the comm. "Hold on, almost done. Keep moving. We finish this together." Holt activated the final charge. The flagship's core systems exploded in a controlled detonation. Energy cascaded outward, knocking out engines, weapons, and communications. The ship spun, unable to stabilize, before drifting helplessly in orbit. The Dominion fleet faltered, unsure of what to do without its flagship. Chaos spread among their ranks. Back on the city, Ward and Holt regrouped their team on a safe landing pad. Civilians and volunteers cheered. Exhausted, dirty, and battered, they had done the impossible. Ward looked to the horizon toward the drifting flagship. "This is what happens when they think humans can be defeated," he said quietly. Holt nodded. They thought victory was easy. They were wrong. Civilians stepped forward, clapping for soldiers who had fought for them, for engineers who had improvised weapons, for miners who had become soldiers. Humanity had not just survived. They had shown that courage, ingenuity, and unity were more powerful than any weapon. In the remnants of the Dominion fleet, Kareth's metallic face glowed with disbelief. He had conquered worlds, crushed civilizations, and yet here he faced humans who refused to break. Varric whispered, "Hi, Marshal. Perhaps we underestimated them." Kareth's eyes narrowed. "No, humans. They are persistent. But one day, we will return." Even as he spoke, the humans of Varus Prime celebrated quietly. They had won more than a battle. They had shown the galaxy that humans could rise, survive, and strike back, even against overwhelming odds. Ward looked at Holt. "They'll remember this, won't they?" Holt smiled. "They won't forget. Humanity doesn't just fight. Humanity inspires. Today, we've reminded everyone why humans are never to be underestimated." Above, the stars stretched endlessly. The Dominion flagship floated powerless in orbit. Below, the city of Varus Prime glowed with fires of hope. For the first time in decades, humans felt it fully. Victory was theirs, and they had earned it through courage, determination, and unity. No force in the galaxy could crush a spirit that refused to break. And as the smoke rose into the sky, Captain Elias Ward stepped forward among the survivors, the humans of Varus Prime, and declared quietly, but firmly, "We are human. We do not give up. We do not surrender. We rise. Always." The galaxy had been warned. Humanity had fought back. And the story of Varus Prime would echo across the stars. A reminder that when others celebrated too soon, a human always stepped forward. The stars burned red above the silent battlefield. Once this region of space had been filled with radio chatter, ships moving in formation, and the bright hope of 1,000 lives. Now there was only drifting metal, shattered hulls, and the cold glow of wreckage reflecting distant suns. The great Varn Dominion fleet stood victorious. Their massive flagship, Vorath's Pride, floated proudly among the ruins. Around it, hundreds of Varn warships flashed their lights in celebration. The battle had been long, but the end was absolute. The humans were finished for years. The Varn had viewed humans as stubborn but insignificant creatures, a young race from a quiet blue planet on the edge of the galaxy. They had warned humanity to surrender peacefully, to bow before the Dominion's rule. But the humans had refused. They had fought back with small fleets, clever traps, and impossible courage. Now the last human defense line had fallen. The Varn commander, High General Arthur, stood on the bridge of Vorath's Pride watching the wreckage spin. His silver scales gleamed under the control room lights. Around him, his officers hissed in laughter and triumph. "Send the message to all sectors," Ruthor commanded. "The human fleet is destroyed. Earth belongs to the Dominion," the crew roared in approval. Across the galaxy, alien news channels would soon broadcast the same words. The humans are no more. And yet, far from the proud Varn flagship, in the quiet shadow of a shattered moon, a single light flickered. It was weak, almost invisible, a distress beacon from a small, damaged human frigate. The ship's name was HSS Resolute. Once part of the Third Earth defense line, it had taken heavy hits before escaping into the moon's shadow. Its hull was scorched, its engines failing, but somehow it still clung to life. Inside, smoke drifted through the narrow corridors. The air was filled with the faint hum of backup power and the soft groans of strained metal. A few crew members lay unconscious in the medical bay. Others worked tirelessly at flickering control panels, trying to keep systems from collapsing completely. At the command deck, Commander Elise Ward stood silently, her uniform torn and covered in dust. She was young but strong-willed, known for her calm even in hopeless moments. Her brown hair was tied back and her tired eyes stared at the tactical screen showing the enemy fleet. "They're gone," whispered Lieutenant Harris, her communications officer. His voice trembled slightly. "All other ships are destroyed. No signals, no survivors detected." Elise didn't answer immediately. Her gaze remained fixed on the display where countless red dots, Varn ships, slowly drifted away from the battlefield. "They're celebrating," she finally said. Her voice was soft but steady. "They think it's over." Harris swallowed hard. "Maybe it is, Commander. We have no engines, no weapons. Even our life support is barely holding. What can we do now?" Elise turned to him, her expression calm but determined. "We do what humans always do, Lieutenant. We survive, we learn, and then we fight back." There was no anger in her words, only quiet strength. Around her, the few conscious crew members straightened slightly, as if her words had added air back into their lungs. Engineer Corporal Dana Lynn entered from the maintenance bay, wiping grease from her hands. "Commander, I've rerouted what's left of our power to keep life support running. But the engines?" She hesitated. "They're beyond repair. We can't move." Elise nodded slowly. "Then we hide." "Hide?" Harris asked in disbelief. "Yes," Elise said. "The Varn believe we're dead. Let them think that. If they don't see us as a threat, we'll have time to recover." She looked at the stars beyond the cracked viewport. The vastness of space stretched endlessly, cold and quiet. But in that emptiness, something in her heart refused to go dark. "We're not just fighting for Earth anymore," she said softly. "We're fighting for the right to exist." Donna looked at her commander, then at the tired faces around her. "What's the plan?" Elise took a deep breath. "We repair what we can. Gather every bit of data left from the fleet. Then we send one final encrypted signal. Our location, our survival. Someone out there will hear us." Harris frowned. "But who's left to hear it?" Elise smiled faintly. "Hope doesn't need an audience, Lieutenant. It just needs to live long enough to find one." Hours turned into days. The Resolute drifted in silence behind the moon's shadow, using the rock's magnetic field to hide from Varn sensors. The crew scavenged parts, sealed hull breaches, and rewired broken circuits. Despite exhaustion and limited food, they worked with quiet determination. The humans had lost their world, their fleets, and their allies, but not their will. At night, when the lights dimmed, some crew members shared stories of Earth, the smell of rain, the taste of coffee, the sight of oceans under sunlight. It was painful to remember, but it reminded them of what they were fighting for. One night, Harris found Elise sitting alone at the observation port, looking at the distant stars. "Could we really win, Commander?" he asked softly. "They're stronger, faster, more advanced. We have nothing left." Elise didn't look away from the stars. "You know what makes us different from them, Harris?" He shook his head. "They think strength is about numbers, about power. But humans, we find strength in meaning. Even when we lose everything, we still fight for what matters. That's why they'll never truly understand us." Harris watched her for a moment, then nodded slowly. Her words made sense in a way that statistics never could. Finally, after 4 days, Dana called from the control room. "Commander, the signal array is ready." Elise and the others gathered around the small console. The screen flickered weakly, but the transmitter showed green. "Message ready," Harris confirmed. "Encoded using pre-war quantum encryption. No one but us can read it." Elise stood straight and spoke clearly into the recorder. "This is Commander Elise Ward of the human ship Resolute. The defense line has fallen. Earth is under Dominion control, but humanity endures. We will rise again. To any who hear this, remember us. We are not gone. The transmission pulsed into space, a tiny flicker of light carrying across the darkness. No one knew who might receive it, or if anyone would at all. But for the crew of the Resolute, it was enough to know that their voice still existed in the galaxy. After the signal was sent, Elise ordered the ship into full stealth mode. They shut down all lights, all noise, and drifted in total silence. Outside, the vast moon turned slowly, hiding them from view. Beyond it, the Varn fleet began to depart, still proud of their supposed victory. On the bridge of Vorath's Pride, General Rithor raised a glass of glowing liquid in triumph. To the end of the human race, he declared. The room erupted in cheers. He did not notice that a faint human transmission had passed just beneath his sensors, disappearing into the void. Days later, in a small underground outpost light years away, a faint beeping sound echoed through a dark control room. A technician from another allied species looked up in surprise. On his screen, a human encryption signal blinked. He leaned closer, eyes widening. Impossible. He turned to his superior. Sir, I think the humans... They're still alive. Meanwhile, on the Resolute, Elise stood at the viewport once more. The wreckage of the fallen fleet drifted in the distance like silent ghosts. Her reflection looked back at her, tired, but unbroken. They think it's over, she whispered to herself. Let them believe that. She placed her hand on the glass and added softly, because the next time we take a step forward, the whole galaxy will feel it. And as the Resolute continued to drift through the darkness, a faint light glowed within its hull, the quiet beginning of something the Varn Dominion would soon come to fear, the human return. The frozen moon of Europa spun quietly around Jupiter, covered in thick layers of ice and endless cold. Beneath that icy surface, far below the frozen crust, there was life. Not natural life, but the stubborn survivors of a fallen species. Hidden under miles of ice was Europa Station 9, one of humanity's secret research bases. It had been built long before the war as a deep science outpost, but after Earth's fall, it became something greater, a refuge, a last ember of human civilization. Inside, dim blue lights glowed along the tunnels. The station's walls were old, scarred by time and repairs, but they still held firm. Generators hummed softly, keeping air and warmth flowing to the few hundred humans who had made it their home. Among them walked Commander Elise Ward, now more than a survivor. She was a leader, a symbol of what humanity had left: courage, patience, and the will to rebuild. The Resolute had reached Europa months ago after a long and silent journey. The station's engineers had risked everything to guide them in without alerting the Varn. Since then, the survivors had been working non-stop, repairing ships, building new systems, and planning for something greater. But even here, far from the Dominion's eyes, peace was fragile. One morning, the station's control room filled with quiet urgency. Lieutenant Harris hurried in with a datapad in his hand. "Commander, we received a signal," he said, slightly out of breath. "It's faint, but it's not Varn." Elise looked up from her console. "Origin? Outer colonies," Harris said. "Could be survivors from the Mars outposts or one of the mining stations." Elise walked to the main console and examined the waveform. The signal was weak but human. The pattern in the code was unmistakable. An old Earth military encryption. A small smile appeared on her face. Someone's still out there. The room seemed to brighten with that single line. Even the tired engineers looked up with new energy. "Send a short reply," Elise ordered, "but keep it disguised. If the Varn intercept it, they'll think it's just cosmic noise." Harris nodded and began typing. Later that day, Elise met with her closest advisors in the command chamber, a circular room filled with holographic displays of ships, blueprints, and strategic maps. Dr. Imani Rowe, the station's chief scientist, adjusted her glasses. "Commander, we've analyzed more Varn technology from the wreck you brought back. Their ships are faster, yes, but their systems are predictable." Elise leaned forward. "Predictable?" "Yes," Imani said. They rely too much on automation. Their AI systems control everything: navigation, targeting, even defense. If we can disrupt those systems, we can turn their own ships against them. A spark lit in Elise's eyes. Can you make it happen? Imani smiled faintly. With time, yes. We've been modifying their control cores. It's delicate work, but we're learning faster than they'd ever expect. Corporal Dana Lynn, the engineer who had kept the Resolute alive, nodded. Our repairs are going well, too. We've got 2 shuttles flight-ready and 1 half-built stealth corvette. It won't win a war, but it's a start. Elise looked at the small holographic image of the corvette, sleek, dark, and compact. A start is all we need. Days passed, and Europa Station became more alive than it had been in months. The survivors worked together with silent determination. Engineers built new modules from salvaged wrecks. Scientists tested energy converters that could run on ice water. Every small success felt like a victory. Children, the few who were born, before the fall, studied in a small learning room, taught about the stars and the home they had lost. Their drawings filled the walls: blue oceans, green forests, and a bright round planet with the words, "Earth will rise again." Elise often walked among them quietly. Their laughter reminded her why she kept going. Humanity wasn't just fighting to survive, they were fighting for the right to hope again. Meanwhile, far across the stars, the Varn Dominion continued their reign. They celebrated their control over Earth, holding parades on human soil. Cities once filled with human life were now empty or turned into alien bases. To the Varn, the humans were finished. But small reports began to reach their command centers: ships disappearing near asteroid belts, supply convoys lost in unexplained accidents, communications cut off. At first, the Dominion leaders ignored the warnings. Pirates, they said. Old machines malfunctioning. But whispers began to spread through the ranks. Of a shadow fleet, of humans who still fought from the dark. The Varn dismissed it as superstition. But General Arthur, who had led the victory over Earth, was not so sure. He remembered the defiance in human eyes during the final battle. He remembered their strange ability to fight when they should have surrendered. He sat alone in his chamber aboard Vorath's Pride and studied the reports. Each one carried traces of human technology. Each one felt deliberate. They should be extinct, he muttered. And yet, he closed his clawed hand around the data chip. If they live, I will find them. Back on Europa, Elise gathered her team for a small meeting in the hangar bay. The large room buzzed with quiet activity. Engineers working on engines, pilots checking flight suits, and scientists loading data drives. Elise stood on a small platform overlooking them. "Listen up," she called. The noise faded. Everyone turned to her. "We've been hiding for months. We've rebuilt what we can. But survival isn't enough anymore." Her voice was calm, but her words carried strength. The Varn believe humanity is finished. They're wrong. Every time we fix a broken circuit, every time we share a story, every time a child laughs down here under the ice, we prove them wrong. She looked around at the tired faces, seeing sparks of determination in every eye. It's time we showed the galaxy that the human spirit can't be erased. Not by fear, not by power, not by anything. A soft murmur spread through the room. Not shouting, not cheering, but the quiet kind of agreement that meant everyone believed her. "We'll start small," Elise continued. "Recon missions, data theft, sabotage on their supply lines. Nothing big yet. We learn, we adapt, we grow stronger. That's how humans win. Not by size, but by mind." Dana smiled proudly. "Like lighting a fire in the dark." Elise nodded. "Exactly. One small flame can burn brighter than all their stars." That night in her quarters, Elise recorded a message into her log. "Day 237 since Earth fell. The crew is stronger. Europa Station stands as the last light of humanity. We're still small, still broken, but I can feel it. The galaxy thinks we're gone. They're wrong. The fire still burns." She paused, thinking of the countless humans who hadn't made it. Friends, family faces she would never see again. "If anyone out there is listening," she added softly, "we're coming back. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. But one day, humanity will rise from the ice, and the stars will remember who we are." She ended the recording and stared out of the small observation window. Beyond the icy crust, she could see Jupiter's vast orange glow, like a giant watchful eye. Weeks later, the first small mission was ready. A team of 5 boarded the stealth shuttle Echo 1. Their goal: intercept a Varn communication relay and copy its data without being detected. As the shuttle launched through the icy tunnel, Elise stood watching until the blue light of its engines disappeared into space. She whispered a quiet prayer for their safety. Hours later, the mission succeeded. The shuttle returned, its crew tired but smiling. They had captured valuable data, fleet routes, Dominion plans, and weak points in their defense grid. It was the first real victory for humanity since the fall. Small, yes, but enough to ignite hope across the station. When Elise looked at her people celebrating quietly in the hangar, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: confidence. The humans were still here. They were learning, adapting, and waiting. And somewhere out there, the mighty Varn Dominion was laughing in their cities, unaware that the spark they thought they had extinguished was already growing into a flame beneath the ice. Darkness filled the control chamber of Europa Station 9, broken only by the soft glow of computer lights. Engineers and officers gathered around a table where a strange object lay, a captured Varn probe, half melted from re-entry, its alien circuits still faintly pulsing. It had been recovered from a nearby crater, but when the scientists opened its data core, something unexpected appeared on a mark, bright and deliberate, carved deep into its memory: the rising Earth fleet. The words glowed faintly on the screen as the crew stared in silence. It wasn't a code. It wasn't a name. It was a message, a declaration. Lieutenant Harris broke the silence first. "Commander, this isn't from us." "We didn't put that there." Commander Elise Ward nodded slowly. Then someone else did. Her eyes narrowed with thought. "Someone out there is using our name, or maybe someone out there is already fighting back." Engineer Dana Lynn leaned closer to the screen. "If it's real, then we're not the only survivors." A quiet hope spread through the room. Could it be? After so long hiding beneath the ice, was there another group of humans still alive, strong enough to fight, clever enough to make the Varn notice? Elise didn't let her voice show excitement, but inside her heart beat faster. Humanity was rising, piece by piece in the shadows of the stars. A new plan over the next few weeks, the station buzzed with activity. The message on the Varn probe had changed everything. It proved 2 things: that humans were not extinct, and that the Varn were beginning to notice small attacks spreading across their territory. "Commander," Elise gathered her leadership team for a quiet meeting in the strategy room. A holographic image of the galaxy floated above the table, showing Varn space in red, and small flashing blue dots marking mysterious incidents. Missing ships, destroyed cargo lines, jammed communications. "These are too precise to be random," said Dr. Imani Rowe, the chief scientist. "Whoever's doing this knows how the Varn think." Elise folded her arms. "Or they've learned how to make the Varn afraid." The team exchanged glances. Dana spoke softly. "If there's really another human group out there, we should find them." Elise nodded. "Exactly. It's time to take a step forward." She looked around the table. "The Varn believe we're scattered, broken, hiding. Let's prove them wrong. We'll go beyond Europa. We'll find whoever's behind the rising Earth fleet. And if they're real, we'll join them." The horizon's edge, the plan needed a ship. Something stronger than a shuttle, faster than any stealth craft they had. That's when Dana showed her secret project. In one of the lower hangars, covered by heavy shields and metal curtains, lay the frame of a new ship. It wasn't large, but it had a sleek, powerful design. The hull shimmered faintly with adaptive plating, and the engines were built from both human and stolen Varn technology. "This," Dana said proudly, "is the Horizon's Edge, built from what we salvaged, powered by a hybrid Varn reactor. It can move faster than light without leaving a trace on their sensors." Elise walked slowly around the ship, her hand brushing the smooth hull. It looked like a predator born from the void itself. "How soon can it fly?" she asked, Soon, Dana said. We're testing the drive system now. But it'll need a small crew. 5, maybe 6 people max. Elise nodded. Then I'll lead the first mission myself. Harris blinked. Commander, that's risky. If you're captured, she smiled faintly. If we're captured, it won't matter who's in charge. But if we succeed, humanity takes its first real step forward since Earth fell. The room went quiet. Then one by one, heads nodded. Everyone knew this was more than a mission. It was history. A journey beyond the ice days. Later, the Horizon's Edge launched quietly through Europa's icy tunnel, rising into the darkness of space. Its engines glowed faintly blue, then vanished completely as the stealth field activated. Inside, the crew sat at their stations, Elise at command, Harris on communications, Dana on engineering, and 2 young pilots named Reed and Alia. The ship glided between moons invisible to scanners, following faint traces of encrypted human signals. Picking up something, Harris said after hours of silence. Low-frequency transmission near the Titan belt. Not Varn. Elise leaned forward. Can you clean it? He worked quickly. The static faded and a human voice echoed through the speakers, calm, strong, and familiar in tone. This is Captain Arden of the Rising Earth Fleet. If you are human, hold your ground. We fight from the shadows. We rise again. The voice vanished. Reed stared at the console. So it's true. They're real. Elise's heart filled with emotion. Set a course, she said softly. Let's find them. The shadow ambush as the Horizon's Edge neared the Titan belt. The sensors detected something unexpected. A fleet. But it wasn't human. Multiple Varn ships ahead, Alia reported. 2 cruisers, 1 battleship. Dana frowned. That's too heavy for patrol duty. What are they doing here? Elise studied the readings. They're hunting. They must have traced the Rising Earth Fleet's signal. Before anyone could respond, the ship's alarms beeped. A power surge nearby. They're scanning, Harris said. They've detected something close, maybe us. Elise made a quick decision. Engage silent maneuver. No thrusters. Drift us behind that asteroid. The Horizon's Edge slid into the asteroid's shadow, completely dark. Through the viewport, the crew could see flashes of light as the Varn cruisers fired at something deeper in the field. Then, out of nowhere, a small human fighter darted between the rocks, fast, agile, leaving trails of plasma as it fired at the cruisers. It moved with impossible precision. Elise whispered, "That must be one of them." The Varn ships turned their cannons on the lone fighter. The small craft dodged again and again, but soon it was surrounded. Harris's hands tightened on his console. "Commander, we can't just watch." Elise hesitated for a second. Then she said, "Power up the hybrid drive. Let's show them what humans can do." The step forward, the Horizon's Edge came to life. Its stealth field dropped and its engines flared with brilliant light. The Varn fleet turned in confusion. They had never seen this kind of ship before. "Lock on target," Elise ordered. "Dana, give me all power to forward shields." "Harris, jam their communication frequencies." The hybrid engine roared. The Horizon's Edge shot forward like a comet, straight through the middle of the enemy formation. Its adaptive hull bent light, making it appear in one place and vanish in another. Fire EMP burst. A shockwave of blue energy exploded from the ship, passing through the cruisers. Their systems flickered, then died. The massive vessels drifted powerless as their lights went dark. The small human fighter escaped the trap and joined formation beside the Horizon's Edge. "Over comms," a voice crackled. The same voice from the earlier transmission. "Unknown human vessel, this is Captain Arden of the Rising Earth Fleet. You just saved my life." Elise smiled. "Glad to know we're not alone out here, Captain. Who are you?" he asked. "Commander Elise Ward, Europa Station 9. We've been waiting for this day." There was a short pause, then a laugh through the static. "Welcome to the Resistance, Commander. You've just taken the first step into a bigger fight." Aftermath, when the smoke of battle cleared, the Varn ships floated helplessly in the asteroid belt, their systems jammed and their sensors blinded. Elise and her crew boarded the damaged human fighter and met Captain Arden face to face. He was tall, tired, and carried the same kind of determination that had kept Elise alive all this time. Arden led her to a hidden base built inside a hollow asteroid. Inside were dozens of ships, human-made, rebuilt from wreckage powered by stolen alien technology. Elise's eyes widened. You've built a fleet, Arden nodded. Not enough to fight head-on, but enough to remind the galaxy that we're still here. He pointed to a large emblem painted on the wall, the same one Elise had seen on the Varn probe. A human hand reaching toward the stars, surrounded by the words "The Rising Earth Fleet." Elise touched the emblem gently. So it's real, Arden smiled. It's more than real. It's growing. And now that you're here, Commander, we have what we've been missing. A leader who knows what the first step means. Elise looked out through the hangar window, where dozens of human ships glimmered in the dark. For the first time since Earth fell, she saw not defeat, but the beginning of hope. Humanity had taken a step forward. The galaxy would never be the same again. The human fleet had grown, not in size, but in spirit. From the hidden asteroid base, Commander Elise Ward and Captain Arden coordinated missions across the outer sectors of the galaxy. Small human teams struck the Varn supply lines, disabled communications, and recovered stolen resources from conquered planets. Each success was small, but they were enough to spread hope. Across distant systems, alien species who had been under Dominion control began noticing. The humans were alive and they were clever. Some dared to send messages of alliance inspired by the human courage. Slowly, a coalition began to form. Not a full army yet, but a growing network of resistance across multiple star systems. Elise walked through the base's command center one evening, watching crew members reviewing mission logs and plotting courses on star charts. Look at them, Arden said quietly beside her. They've been hiding for years, and now look. They've become the spark that could start a wildfire. Elise smiled faintly. It's not just them. It's what humans do. We don't give up even when everything is lost. That's why the Varn fear us more than any other species. Arden nodded. You're right. Their arrogance blinds them. They think power is the strongest weapon. But humanity is different. Gathering allies, the next step was bold. Contacting alien species oppressed by the Varn, a relay station in the Corland cluster had been transmitting faint distress calls. Elise decided to respond. Using coded messages, they reached out to the Yari, a winged species enslaved to build Varn ships, and the Traylan, amphibious engineers forced to repair Dominion vessels. Many were cautious, afraid to trust anyone. But when they received proof that humans had struck the Varn fleet successfully, fear turned to hope. One by one, ships from the Corland cluster joined the human effort. Not all were fast, not all were armed to fight, but each vessel carried the message of courage. Humanity was alive, and they were not alone. For the first time, Elise realized the significance of their small fleet. It was no longer a fleet of survivors. It was a beacon of resistance. The Varn response, of course, the Varn noticed. High General Arthur had grown uneasy. Reports of sabotage, ship disappearances, and strange human activity had increased dramatically. They are growing bolder, Rathor said to his council. His voice carried the cold certainty of someone who had never failed before. Every day we ignore them, the risk multiplies. One council member hissed, "They are just survivors." Small groups. We can crush them with a single fleet. Rathor shook his head. Underestimate them and we lose more than ships. The galaxy remembers defiance. These humans, they inspire. He made his decision. The Varn would strike back. Their most advanced weapon, the Planet Breaker, a colossal orbital device capable of obliterating moons, would be deployed against the system where the human fleet hid. It was meant to end them before they could grow any stronger. The Trapelise received intelligence of the Planet Breaker's approach. She gathered her command team immediately. "Dana, are the ships ready?" she asked. "More than ready," Dana said. "The hybrid shields can protect us against heavy fire, but this will still be dangerous." Elise nodded. "We don't fight this with strength. We fight it with wits. We lure them in," Harris spoke up. "But the Planet Breaker can destroy an entire moon. If we miscalculate, it could wipe out the fleet." "Then we won't miscalculate," Elise said firmly. "Follow the plan. We'll draw it into the asteroid belt. Its own gravity and the debris will work against it." Arden leaned forward. "We need a signal. Something to make the Varn think we're running, not preparing a trap." Elise agreed. "Yes, let's make them confident. The Varn always underestimate us when they think we're scared." Battle among the rocks, the human fleet moved slowly toward the asteroid field. Ships emitted weak energy signatures to appear vulnerable. From orbit, the Planet Breaker fired its targeting beams, Massive energy pulses began to sweep across the system, destroying any visible obstacle. Elise watched from the bridge of the horizon's edge, her hands steady on the controls. She knew the outcome depended on precision and timing. "Now," she ordered. The fleet executed a coordinated maneuver. The human ship split into small groups, weaving through the dense field of rocks. The planet breaker's beams struck the debris, causing explosions that ricocheted in unexpected directions. Dana adjusted the engines, sending bursts of energy to the hidden mines they had placed among the asteroids. Each mine amplified the gravitational instability, slowly drawing the planet breaker into the center of the field. The Varn watched in confusion. Their advanced targeting algorithms couldn't account for the chaotic movement of asteroids combined with the human strategies. Elise and Arden exchanged a glance. "This is it," Elise said. "They don't know we can outthink them." Victory in the darkness, the planet breaker's own systems became entangled in the asteroid field. Gravity and debris interfered with its targeting. Engineers aboard human vessels remotely activated the hybrid systems Dana had developed. In a brilliant display, the planet breaker misfired, the energy beams reflecting off asteroids and back toward its own structure. Sparks flew, panels melted. The massive weapon imploded in a controlled collapse. No one human was harmed, and the asteroid field absorbed the rest. The human fleet cheered quietly in the shadows. They had won, not through sheer force, but through ingenuity. Elise stood on the bridge, eyes reflecting the distant explosion. "Every victory counts no matter how small," she whispered. Arden put a hand on her shoulder. "You've turned the sky in our favor, Commander. They will never forget this day." Elise nodded. "The galaxy will see what humans are capable of, not just on Earth but anywhere we dare to rise." The turning sky news of the planet breaker's destruction spread quickly. Hidden systems that had been under Dominion rule began to resist. Ships that had been forced into labor joined the human fleet. Entire sectors lit up with rebellion. The Varn were shaken. Their confidence in their invincible weapon had vanished. Everywhere they looked, human ingenuity appeared. Small strikes, clever maneuvers, and acts of daring that no algorithm could predict. Elise understood the significance. Humanity was no longer simply surviving. They were leading the charge for freedom across the galaxy. "Tomorrow we strike deeper," she said to Arden. "We've shown them the humans are clever. Next we show them humans are unstoppable." The stars themselves seemed to respond. From the darkest corners of space, faint lights blinked. Human signals, alien allies, hope spreading like wildfire. And for the first time since Earth fell, the sky was not just black. It was filled with the glimmer of rebellion.